folks, we're back once again with another episode of Why Jesus. On today's show, we welcome Rahul from Dubai. Hi Rahul, welcome to Why Jesus.
Thank you.
Rahul, can you tell us something about yourself and then we'll go on with our show?
Yes, my name is Rahul. I was born and brought up in Dubai. I did my aerospace engineering, but I started working with my dad in the supply of air conditioning spare parts.
How did you pursue aeronautical engineering, you said?
Yeah, aerospace.
Aerospace, wow. That sounds very complicated.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
I have passion for working on things, machineries, whatever it was. In my house, I used to work with toys. So I think as I got bigger, the things I used to work on started to get bigger. Like when I turned 18, when I got a car, I started working on my car. If my AC broke down, I wanted to see what happened there, over there. So like that, I was curious to know how the aviation, the aircrafts worked and I wanted to work in the field, in the maintenance mainly. But God willing, I started working with my dad, but I still got the opportunity to learn about the aerospace and everything.
Rahul, so you mentioned God willing, or it was God's will for you not to work as an aerospace engineer, which is pretty tough to accept.
Yeah.
Because you worked hard and you sound like you had a passion for fixing things, you were good at mechanics. What role do you say you have for God in your life?
It was around in my school ages when I started to experience how God could work in my life. And since then, I slowly started doing little things for God, and the return which I got was bigger blessings, much more than what I expected in my life.
You mentioned that you started having small experiences, especially in your younger years.
Yeah.
Can you share those experiences with us, Rahul?
Yeah. When I went to 9th grade, I shifted my school. So when I came to the new school, I didn't have much friends. So when I spoke to my mom about this, I didn't know what to do. So what my mom said was, pray to God, He'll make a way for you, He'll make friends for you. And slowly I started having friends, new friends. And also a few months down the schooling, there was a new teacher which came up, and she used to speak about God in class also. So through her, I got to know a few other experiences, and that's how my spiritual life had a beginning.
Now, somewhere along the way, did you ever feel like, this is not worth pursuing? Because as you grow older, especially when you get into your teenagers, you are exposed to so many things in the world which seems more appealing than having a spiritual walk or a spiritual belief in a God. Did you face anything where you felt like, no, this is not really worth my time or energy, I'd rather just not believe in anything?
Yeah, like being in this generation, you get to meet people who are more into atheism. So they don't believe in God, and it's hard to cope up with them and to be in that circle. So especially when I went to university, to keep my spiritual life and to be over there and to hang out with the people over there, like especially if you're doing a group study or something, you need to mingle with your classmates. So in the end, it's like it's hard to find friends over there, and there are very few people who keep the morals alive. So you'll have very limited friends around, and especially it's, within the university time, you experience this.
That is college going times, right? Yes, I've heard a lot from our guests who've come to our show before that they leave parents, especially for kids who are settled abroad, whose parents are outside of India. When they come to India, they're exposed to a whole new environment and they succumb to so much social pressure.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with it?
I pray to God that if I'm making friends with someone, I need to have someone who can accept my moral life, and I'm not much of a party kind of guy, and over there the university life is like that. Then I go for a fellowship and I get to pray over there. So the all joint prayers make a difference in my life.
So, what would you say to the youngsters who are heading out to college, starting off from home for the first time? What would be your advice to them to maintain that relationship that they have, if they have a relationship with God?
If your best friend is Jesus, then there's no other friend you ever need, but God will walk you through every single situation. If you have Jesus with you, especially during the time of examination, and there was a few semesters which was very difficult for me to go through, and even on those days Jesus was there right by my side, much more than my friends, and that's what kept me going in my spiritual life.
Do you ever feel secluded or left out? You know, inevitably, even in college, even though you don't go for parties, do you feel left out in social circles because of your belief in Jesus, Rahul?
Yes, there are a few times when they used to call me to hang out, and then because of your moral life, you slowly start ignoring them, so they know. So they stop calling you even. But that's part of it. But then you'll get to meet few people who are good friends, who keep their moral life alive, and that's pretty supportive.
What is the take of others in your age group that they, what is their perspective of your faith in Jesus? Do they respect it, or do they ridicule it?
There are few friends who respect that I have faith in Jesus. I go to church every week and I pray to God every single day, read the Bible. But there are few people who doesn't accept it. But there are always some times that they might ask you, like, dude, if you could just pray for me. It's tough time. Even the examination is pretty tough for me. It actually changes your thought. Yeah.
On it.
Yes.
Rahul, has anyone come up to you and said or asked you, Rahul, I would like to know the Jesus you're talking about, or the Jesus that you're believing in?
Yeah. I had few friends who come up to me, and I used to take them to church, and they get to experience what, including the praise and worship, the prayer meetings. So when they come over there, they get to experience what God is. So to say and stand that God is real, and they slowly, it doesn't happen in one day or in a week or maybe in a month. It might take few visits to the church to get their opinion to change.
Is it easy to keep up with your belief in Jesus in today's world?
It's very hard, because when you speak with your friends, they might argue with many worldly facts, and they put scientific reasons to it. It's very hard to argue, but if your faith is strong, if you have experienced Jesus for real, and you know, there's no need anyone else to explain it to you.
Now, I've had some guests on our show who had started out being, headstrong believers in Jesus, but they did admit that some point in their life they did dwindle a little bit in their faith. For people who face such phases in life where they're, a little wavering in their faith, how do you think they could overcome it?
So when people keep asking questions about my faith, at times you might doubt things, but I go to a ministry where it's a fasting prayer ministry. It's called Word to Word, and through that ministry I got to know God in many different ways. Most of my prayer requests has been answered over there, and to say and to keep my stand that Jesus is for real, and it's through this ministry I have known.
Now, can you elaborate a little more on this fasting and prayer? you said this ministry was particular. Are all ministries fasting prayer ministries?
No, not all the ministries are fasting prayer ministries, but we have fastings in a few times, few days a year, and it could be one day or it could be 3 days, and we avoid having food. We completely submit before God, and in the end, you know that Jesus is right over there, and you can feel His power, you can experience His grace, and you can spiritually grow over there through this fasting and prayer.
Now, Rahul, can you tell us a little more about these fasting prayers? Like, so what exactly are these fasting prayers? Like, what does it comprise of? Is it just praying all the time? Do you just abstain from food and pray all the time, or?
So in this fasting, we have intercessory prayers, we have praise and worship, we have the healing ministry, we have the deliverance, and in the end, you get to really experience God over there.
Now, of all these, so these are different parts of the fasting, Rahul.
Yeah.
So, which part of it do you like the most?
I like the praise and worship and the deliverance most.
Now, can you elaborate a little more on the praise and worship? Is it just singing songs, or?
We sing songs, we clap hands, and it's a joyful moment to praise God really.
And how about deliverance?
When the deliverance part comes, you get the kind of experience as if it's kind of a heavenly feeling. It's kind of like as if the heaven and the angels has come down over there, and they're blessing us, they're showering the blessings on us, and it kind of strengthens us. It gives new thoughts, inspiration to do more things for God, and it kind of gives you the experience to wait for the next fasting to come so that you can join over there.
Now, Rahul, so you said you wait for the next fasting to come. So how often do you have these fasting prayers in this ministry?
In this ministry, we have the main fastings happening every year, almost to the end. We have a 3-day fasting. It begins at 28th and it ends on 31st.
Now, is there different locations that these occurs at, or there's a particular place that this is always happening at this time that you mentioned?
This ministry is actually based in Trivandrum. It's called Word to World Center, and you can either be over there or you can check through Google Maps to find the location of the place, or you can get in touch through the internet, www.tv, that's a link for a TV channel, or you can get in touch through the internet radio, wordtoworldradio.com, and you can know about the leader and the mentor, Brother Dr. Matthew Varghese, who we call Brother Uncle, and through him you get to know his messages inspires a lot, it motivates a lot to do more things about God, to work for God, and to find out what all we can achieve.
Now, you were saying as you attend these fasting prayers, you're given new insights and you think of what more you could do to change the world.
Yeah.
Can you share with us some of the insights that you have received, or that you feel, or that you're engaged in?
Yeah. Through this ministry, I go for a ministry called Camp Ministry, where we reach out to people who stay in labor camp and they have a tough life over there. So
This is in Dubai, Rahul?
It's in Dubai. So there are actually 4 places we go regularly right now, and we spread the good news over there, because people are born in a Christian family but they have not known Christ over there. So that's our main aim. We go to them, speak about Christ, and there are many people who have accepted Christ as their Savior over there, and their life has been absolutely been changed through that.
That's very nice to hear. Now, you said they face these kind of hardships. What kind of hardships do they face?
They mostly have a 12 hours duty, and their pay is very low, and they might need to work in tough conditions like the sun, 50 degrees heat, everything's there, and they might have some family troubles and they don't want to speak up, and they don't know how to get a help for themselves. I don't know, they have no idea how to help their family. They might be having some loan or something, and there are few people who have been in the state of being completely helpless, but still they accepted Jesus as their savior, and I've seen their life change gradually from there.
Now, has there been any situation when you do go out to reach to these people in these labor camps, has anyone come across to you in a negative way, saying they don't want to be spoken to about Christian faith?
There have been time, it was not me, but two of our fellow members, they went to a labor camp, and they were finding people who would go to church, but instead they found someone else, and the response was very negative.
So how do you deal with that negative response? Do you feel discouraged at all? Have you ever thought, oh, this is in vain? Do you feel ever that you need to stop?
By God's grace, the strength of our team is whenever we find someone being negative to us, we find that as a blessing. So that keeps us more motivating to keep going. And when you are not part of that negativity, someone will say that you just missed out a blessing for yourself.
A good way to look at it, Rahul. Rahul, when you're not helping your dad, working, or when you're not reaching out to people through your camp ministry, what do you do just to relax?
Usually to relax, I have this passion for cars. So I have a group of friends. So we go for drives, we go to explore places, and I especially have one of my friends, like we find out places in Google Map and we just go for long drive. It's like maybe in a day we cover like 400, 800 kilometers in just one single go.
That's amazing. Rahul, what would you say about the world that we live in?
The world itself, it's going to a different path. Like very few people get to know Christ at the moment, and even the family values are going bad. So it's kind of like a restless situation over here. And if I get to speak more about Christ to more people, to reach out to more people, that would be the best thing I can ever do for the love which Jesus has shown to me.
Now, Rahul, you did say that you were working in the camp ministry, but what else do you think you as Rahul can do to bring that good news of Jesus to so many others? You know, our world is on a population explosion right now, so many out there.
Yeah.
A lot of them, like you said in the beginning of the show, don't believe in God. What do you think you could do? Anything different from what Dan you're doing right now?
It would be mainly to help the poor people out, and it's to spread out the love of Christ through whatever means which I can do. It could be by sharing a meal or something. It's also part of one of our, it's a part of our ministry also to share a meal to the poor people. If you buy a meal, if you don't have the whole meal, you can take a small part of it before you have it, and you can give it to someone else on the way outside or something.
Oh wow, is that something that you do out there in Dubai too?
In Dubai, we don't find much people who who has the need for food, but still, even when I go to labor camps, if there's anything I can bring from home to them, I take it.
And I guess it's more active a ministry here in India where you find a lot of people in need of food.
Yes.
Now, Rahul, as we come towards the end of our show, from all the experiences that you've had as a child growing up and as a youngster going into college, what would you like to tell the young people out there today?
Being the follower of Christ doesn't mean the path is always smooth and you'll always have the best what you have planned and what you wish for. But if you have Jesus with you, you have everything you need. And even in the toughest times, You can ask Jesus to be there with you, and through Him you can achieve things which you had never even thought of.
Rahul, thank you so much for that beautiful piece of advice. Thank you so much for coming on our show and spending some of your precious time with us. We wish you the best of luck for all your hopes and desires, and I hope that you're able to reach out the love of Jesus to so many as you desire. Thank you, friends, for joining us on one more episode of Why Jesus. I hope you will all join us again on our next show as we welcome one more guest as they share Why Jesus. Have a pleasant day. Thank you.